went from, you know, what is it, like 140 to like 250s.
That's being nice of you. 140 on a 5th gen. Shit.
I'm going crank horsepower there.
From 1994.
before all the misfires and shit.
Yeah. Exhaust combination that you did has a nice tone to it.
It reminds me a lot of like a good setup on the 350. Because
Alright everyone, welcome back to Automotive Anatomy. Today we have Miguel. Miguel, thank you so much for making the time for us, man.
How you doing?
Doing well, man. Thank you so much for making the time. Seriously. What do you drive?
So I drive a 2008 Honda Accord Coupe EXL.
Oh, it's the EXL.
EXL, so it has the
you
leather.
Spent the extra $500 for the antenna.
It was $450, pero.
Okay. EXL, that's nice, man. I mean, they're hard to find, and we'll get into that. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, when did you remember thinking, I like cars, this is my hobby, this is kind of the thing that, you know, I want to pursue?
Well, it all started when I was walking to elementary school, you know, always pretending that I was quote unquote driving, but you know, we were walking.
You were in the transportation, but
yeah, mentally. And you know, I've always liked cars, Hot Wheels since I was a little kid. Back when I was like maybe 9, my dad had a '89 Ford Probe GT Turbo.
Oh.
And so it was 5-speed manual, so that's kind of where my love for the manuals came about. And you know, ever since then, you know, I just been fascinated by cars.
Okay.
That's kind of where my love for manuals started. But in reality, when I was in high school, all my buddies had Hondas. So you know, I was like, oh, you know what? I could get an EG, I could get an EF. Ultimately, my first car was an '89 Civic EF sedan. So it was LX. It was that maroon color with that maroon interior.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it was an LX model, so it had power windows.
Okay.
And you know, manual, you know,
manual,
like 340,000 miles on the dash, but running cherry.
Well, yeah.
So
that's a Civic.
yeah.
Okay.
Can't
That
go,
became your first car.
that was my first car, yeah.
Did you modify it?
You know, back at the time I was in high school, and I was working at KFC, so all I could afford was heated springs. So I went to like a muffler shop, and he heated my springs, and the car dropped about 1 inch.
And that's all you needed.
And that was all I did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you need.
Yeah,
Cool,
at the time, yeah, high school, you know, that's what else are you gonna get?
High school, people are doing that right now with full-time jobs. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm on right now. Heated springs.
Now you have your appointment later on to lower a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we move forward, how do we stumble upon this Accord?
So I originally had a '94 sedan, a '94 Accord sedan, and that was the EX model as well. It coincidentally had the leather interior, and at first I didn't like the car. I mean, I wanted to trade for a Civic, wanted to trade for an Integra, anything that was mainstream. And you know, I ended up meeting a couple guys from Accord, what's it called, forum, Honda Society. There we go. And you know, I started looking at everybody's builds, and I was like, okay, this could be something pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I started modifying it, and you know, I got function form coilovers, and I ended up getting some Ziegen wheels, and you know, little by little I started falling in love with the chassis itself. At the time I had a corporate job, so I needed reliable transportation, and the car was misfiring, so I had to upgrade. So originally I wanted an Acura TL Type S, and I specifically wanted a 6-speed manual, which I couldn't find, to your surprise, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, what if I get another Accord, but something a little more modern? So I was looking for an 8th generation sedan, and you know, I wanted a V6 and I wanted a manual, but they don't exist.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So next thing in line was this.
The coupe.
And you know, I was looking for a coupe. I wanted a V6 manual, and surprisingly, I found this one 2 miles from my house.
Oh wow.
So, you know, I went to look at it, and as soon as I seen it, you know, I didn't have to test drive it, nothing. I was like, nah, I want the car. And
transmission is all bad. You already signed the contract.
like, oh no, it has no clutch, no transmission. It's manual, but no transmission.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up with this. This was back in 2014.
Oh wow, it's been a
So
bit.
I've had it for like 9.5 years.
¿Cómo está la movida?
Gonna hear all
road is also not good here.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that when you're cruising fast, that yeah, like you're definitely gonna. Yeah. Definitely is on the stiffer side. And that's the reason why you can't go any lower, right?
Yeah, I guess. You know, I think the 295s might have something to do with that, but.
Did you just buy the tires and you're like, oh damn, like I can't return them, so I'm just gonna rock them?
Like damn, they don't fit. I miscalculated my math. My math was off
by like twice the size.
Yeah, no. Surprisingly, I did the flares first. Afterwards, I started calculating what specs I was gonna need. I was like, all right,
sick.
Because I think I had some 17. Well, actually, I had some TL 5-spoke wheels.
Oh, nice.
On here, just to kind of get the car rolling after the accident. But before that, I actually had some Buddy Club P1 wheels, and they were 19 by 9.5.
Oh, okay.
Plus 45 on a 275 tire. And they fit fucking perfect under the stock Fender.
Oh, okay.
Pero, you know, valió madre. I had to chop it up.
Yeah. It jumps because it's so stiff, huh?
Yeah, the bumps on the road.
Yeah. I think on the track it'll be fine. It definitely picks up really nice.
Yeah.
But
it's the torque that it has that, you know, it gives it that power. Surprisingly for a heavy ass car.
Yeah.
And with the tune, it does rev a little higher than factory. I think factory is like 6,800. And with the tune, I'm at 71.
Oh, okay, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a nice
not
difference.
Bad. I mean, it's not the 8 grand that B series do, but
yeah.
I got torque on them.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that was into track, so he had a 7th generation, and you know he was tracking his Accord, and he's like, oh yeah, you should lift it, put bigger tires, this and this, you know, bad influence. J-Man, that's you, bad influence. And so I ended up lifting the car. You know, I ended up ordering bigger tires that didn't fit, of course, and and you know it just kind of spiraled out of control. I upgraded coilovers to BCs. You know, got bolt-ons, tuned the car, you name it. Everything that's available for this car, I have it.
That's awesome, man. Cool. Showing up to your corporate job.
Yeah.
There's tensed out core. Well, let's get into it, man. Tell us a little bit about, is the car painted, wrapped? Tell us a little. What's the name of the color?
So the car is painted. The color is called Almond, and believe it or not, it's by Rust-Oleum. It was a Rattle can paint job.
Interesting.
So the color itself was, you know, Home Depot off the shelf can.
Really?
And I went a little bit above and beyond on the clear coat, and I did the 2K 2-part automotive clear, but again in a can.
Yeah, wow.
And you know, just prep. That's all it is, prep work.
Yeah, definitely, man. And tell us about the front end. What have you done to it?
What haven't I done to it? That's the better question.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, for starters, to keep it simple, the front lip is HFP. The grille is OEM painted gloss black. And I have the Amazon special black housing headlights, which
makes the car to me.
Yeah, so I originally had retrofitted headlights in the car, you know, and I had a lot of issues with them flickering and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go back to like OEM spec. And I seen these that were like clear reflectors on the side, kind of like EDM style.
Yep.
And you know, I was like, they look cool.
They remind me of the TSX. You know how like you change the black house headlights on those, and then the car looks completely different. The same thing with the 5th gen. You put those black house, and the car just looks completely different.
Yeah, and I think those TSX ones are like the Euro R version or something like that. So this kind of resembles that. So the hood, the hood's an OEM hood, and I was, you know, I was shown these hood vents. These are hood vents for a 240SX. They're made by a company called Origin Labs.
Oh shoot!
And so I just pretty much cut the hood, molded, fiberglass, whatever, you name it, you know?
Yeah.
Just molded it all in one piece.
Came out super. Did you do it yourself?
Me and my neighbor.
Oh wow!
Shout out Adam for that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it looks really it's done perfectly.
You know, well, the bodywork isn't perfect. We weren't going for perfect because this is going to be a track car at one point. So we just wanted it to be functional and to look somewhat presentable. Be a 10-foot car, you know?
Yeah.
And then
let's back it up there. And then tell us about the fenders.
So these fenders are OEM fenders. They were cut and welded. I got fender flares from a company called Ulterior Motive, and you know, they were cut and welded on. These were done by a guy out in Bloomington, and he also did the cutout on the fender. He did the rear quarter panels as well. I never wanted to cut it up originally because, as we all know, Honda stopped making the coupes.
Yes.
And they stopped making the V6 altogether.
Oh, I didn't know that.
On the coupes, you know, V6 manuals are no longer existent.
Oh, that sucks.
And you know, I did get into a wreck back in 2020, and the quarter panel was slightly damaged. And at the time, the insurance totaled it out, but I was never really ready to let go of the car. So I bought it back from the insurance. And you know, I was like, you know, I'm gonna fix the quarter panel. I said, screw it, let's do the flares.
Oh, okay.
And the car was gonna be devalued already because of salvage title.
Yeah.
And I don't have any plans to sell the car.
Oh, that's good.
Because, you know, my daughter already warned me. She's like, don't sell that car because that car's mine.
Nice.
And that's one of the main reasons why I haven't gutted the car.
Oh, okay.
My kids like going for rides.
Yep.
So, I mean, if it wasn't for that, the car would be completely stripped from the inside already.
Well, the flares allow you to tell me about this little piece right here, because I noticed it.
Okay, so that piece that is actually from a Mugen sedan side skirt. So I was gonna run the sedan side skirts, but I didn't like that they hang like about 2 inches lower. And the only reason I was gonna run those is because I couldn't find the HFP side skirts.
Oh, okay.
And those were a little more easier to get a hold of, the Mugen ones, which, you know, they were reps obviously. These skirts actually are reps, and I still haven't been able to find OEM HFP skirts.
Gotcha.
But you know, they work. And since they are short an inch, I had to cut off the front, and that's kind of what led me to run that little winglet to cover the cut section.
Gotcha.
But I like how it flows. It reminds me of the 5th gen Mugen skirts. Surprisingly, with the big ass tires,
you would think that a bigger car, bigger tires, you wouldn't, but that tells you that the power that it's pulling, it's sufficient enough for you to have to fight the car a little bit.
Yeah, and I think once it's in motion at the track, hitting corners, it should be a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But you know, off of it, you're fighting the torque steer a little bit. And I've always had that problem since I first got this car, even when it was 100% stock. It still had that torque steer on there. And you know, granted, I went from a 5th generation single cam to this was like a 120 horsepower difference right off the gate. So at first, when I first got the car, I was scared of it.
Yeah. It is a big power upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going from, you know, what is it, like 140 to like 250.
That's being nice of you. 140 on a 5th gen. Shit.
I'm going crank horsepower there.
From 1994.
before all the misfires and shit.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, wider flares, wider fenders. Tell me about the wheel and tire setup.
So wheel and tire setup, they're Kanze KNPs. They're 18 by 10.5 plus 12. And that's a square setup. Tires are 295, 40, 18 all around.
Wow, all around?
All around. So when I did the flares, I strategically selected the fronts to be wider because this car is naturally wider in the back. So I ran 3-inch flares up front and 2-inch in the back just so I could have that square setup.
Yeah, killed it with the setup, dude. Looks so nice. Nice and beefy.
Monster truck style.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And suspension, what do you have going on?
Suspension, I have BC coilovers. They have custom spring rates, which are a little too stiff for my liking right now. They're, I believe, 18K in the front and 20 in the back. And for track use, that might be a little too stiff. So I am gonna change that in the future, maybe 14, 16, something a little softer. Camber arms in the front are Godspeed, and camber arms in the rear are J-Power.
Awesome. And in the back, tell us what you got going on.
So the rear, let's start at the bottom. It's OEM HFP lip. It's pretty simple, nothing crazy. And the trunk, that's what a lot of people ask me about. That is an OEM trunk with a Lexus IS 250 spoiler fused onto it.
So IS spoiler?
So it's a Lexus IS 250 spoiler, and it's fused onto an OEM trunk.
Wow.
Fiberglass, self-taps to hold it in place, Bondo.
You and your neighbor again?
Yeah.
Man.
Actually, the trunk, I actually got it like pre-made from one of my buddies. It still needed some finalization, so me and my neighbor kind of just finalized it and, you know, made it look to what it is now.
That looks great, dude. I really like the flow of it. Awesome. And then tell us about the exhaust system.
So the exhaust, we have the RV6 pre-cat deletes all the way from the engine. I have the J-pipe by RV6 as well, and then it's pretty much just a straight shot back with 2 resonators, one ultra quiet and a MagnaFlow.
Nice.
So no mufflers at all.
Nice. It sounds like it too.
It's pretty loud.
That's good. See what we got going on.
So interior wise, it's all stock. It just has a Bride Lomax seat that was donated by my buddy J-Man, the guy who inspired me to track the car. Well, stance it like a track car. And you know, everything else is OEM EXL, the leather. I do have the Android tablet on the center console. That's kind of cool. That's a piece that I've always liked, and it was like one of the last pieces that I have bought for the interior. Behind the steering wheel, I also have the K-Tuner Flash Pro, the version 2, so that tells me all the parameters on the engine. Other than that, you know, it's all stock. The headliner and the pillars were all done black. Originally, Honda, for some reason, made them in tan. I don't know why, even if the interior was black. And these cars are notorious for having saggy headliners, so that was my excuse to kind of fix it.
Gotcha.
Other than that, it's all stock. Nothing fancy there.
Future plans?
Interior wise, I think it's fine. Like I said, I wanted to gut it, but my daughter isn't gonna let me do that because she likes going for spins on the car. So that's pretty much it for the inside. Engine wise, I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I do want to run a Pro Charger on it.
Well, let's check out the engine power if you don't mind. Now that you mentioned engine.
You want to check out the D series?
The D series? Did you do an H22?
Yeah, I did a F22. Real wheel drive.
What do you know about that? You took out the V6 and you put the V4.
Exactly. So before we get into it, J is the way. J is the way, not K.
Literally no one in the world has ever said that. So congratulations, you played yourself.
World first.
Congratulations, you play yourself. No hashtag is made.
Damn. Now I gotta go back and edit my post. Yeah, no, I love these J series. K series are good. I wouldn't mind one. I have a 5th gen shell that I might go K on that.
Go K.
If I don't go J.
Okay.
But there's more K options available for that. But this, you know, J series, you can't go wrong with it. They're starting to become a little more mainstream.
Yes.
People are making more swaps. They're making more parts. At first, when I first got the car, there wasn't too many pieces that I could get for this. But engine-wise, from top to bottom, I am running a J37 intake manifold. I am running a J37 throttle body, and it's all ported, and as well as the intake runners, they're also ported. And like we mentioned earlier, I do have the RV6 cat deletes, and it has the third cat delete on the bottom with the J pipe. Yeah, I have the short ram intake on it, the hot air intake as people call it. But it works good. I have no issues when I'm cruising. Intake temps are like 170.
Oh, nice.
So it's not too bad.
Okay, so it's perfect.
But yeah, it's, you know, pretty much full bolt on for what they have available for these.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I am missing is the lightweight crank pulley. But, you know, manifold runners, all that's ported out. I have the manifold spacer as well to bring it up. It increases torque, or so they say.
Yeah.
Well, and
you'll take any, right? 5, we'll take it.
Yeah, any gains it's a gain.
Yeah.
And the car is tuned on K-Tuner. It's you know, the standard tune that it has. I just did a little tweak, so it's never been dynoed. So I don't know what it makes, but
that's,
you know,
what I say.
No, with the mods that I have, what people usually do is maybe like somewhere between 285, 290 to the wheel.
Oh wow.
So it's okay.
It boogies.
It does sometimes.
Sometimes.
When it's not too hot. Yeah, no. So that's kind of why I want to do a Pro Charger on it.
Is that the one that sticks out really high?
No. So
okay.
So that's the M90 supercharger off the Grand Prix. I like them. I just don't like the fact they stick out the hood.
Way too much.
Yeah. The ones that I'm looking at are the Road Treks, which are like the belt-driven ones that... this one's basically going to replace the AC compressor if I do get it. So it stays within the engine bay, but, you know, people have been known to make 400 horsepower on pump gas.
Sick.
You know, on a stock J.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I do go that route, I'm going to go E85.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not 100% sure just yet, you know.
And the transmission?
So the transmission is all stock. I do have a stage 2 clutch on it. It's by, I forget the name, Clutch Masters. Okay. And I also, just last night, me and my neighbor, again, we were doing the Acuity shifter bushings. Oh, nice. The billet ones. So my first time driving it on the bushings was on the way here. Oh, and, cool. You know, it just feels like a whole new car. Yes. They feel really, really stiff. It doesn't feel notchy like, you know, like mechanical or anything, but it does feel super stiff. Okay. And I really like them. Yeah. Not bad for $100, you know. Yeah. Can't go wrong. Yeah, so we were doing that yesterday till like 10 at night. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you to you and your neighbor.
Yeah.
Much love, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Oh, and I also have the innovative motor mounts. I forgot to mention that. Okay. They make everything rattle. But, you know, race car.
Yeah, definitely. And the car was originally silver?
Yeah. So the original color is the alabaster silver. And the car has seen about 6 different colors. You know, it was wrapped, it was plasti dipped, you name it, everything in between. And now, you know, rattle can. This is my second rattle can job, actually.
It looks great, dude.
Seriously. My first one was a CRX that I had years ago. And that one was just all matte, again, Home Depot colors. But this one we went above and beyond with the clear coat, which that was the separating factor from other rattle can jobs.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, daily wise it's too loud. Yeah. And right now I'm driving it more than I did in the last 4 years. Just because, you know, the car's painted now. Yeah. Because the car's sat. It sat for like 3.5, 4 years before I decided to do anything with it. And along that time, it crossed my mind a lot to sell it. Like, you know, I'm not using it. You know, I could use that money towards, you know, something else. Yeah. It just sits there. It's rotting away. Yeah. And the only reason I didn't sell it was because of my daughter. She would always, you know, get mad at me, like when I would bring it up, like, oh, should I sell the car? She's like, no, you better not sell it. That's my car. So I mean, she's 11 now. So she's
coming up.
Almost at the driving age, you know. Next thing you know, I blink my eyes and she's holding up the drive. So I guess we'll just hold on to the car. And, you know, since it's salvage, you know, it has no resale value in my opinion. And the sentimental value I have on it, it's not gonna let me let go of it.
Completely understand. Completely understand. Yeah.
I never had the intention to get this attached to this car, but
we never do.
Yeah, no. This was actually my first dealer car that I got. So
for that.
car.
Yeah. Well, it is a great car, dude. Seriously, amazing job what you've done with it. I like the fact that you took this platform.
Yeah, no, at this point, I think the only thing that it really needs is just to drive it.
Yep.
And that's what I plan to do.
Then track it.
Track it, drive it. And now that I have a Suburban that I daily, I got video shoots as well. Now that I have a Suburban and I daily that, surprisingly it's cheaper to daily the Suburban than this. Because I'm on E85 on a Suburban and it's like $2 a gallon, so
That's funny.
yeah, I feel
All right, Miguel, thank you so much, man, for taking the time, show us the car. I love what you've done to it.
Thank you.
Accord. A lot of people shy away from it because they're so heavy and because there's no aftermarket support and blah blah blah. But I appreciate the fact that you're doing it. I appreciate the fact that you're going the track route, and I love what you've done with the body and just the fitment of the car. So thank you so much for that, man.
No, thank you, Gus.
Any shout outs, man?
First and foremost, my wife. Got to give her a shout out because she puts up with all my, ish. And shout outs to my kids as well, that, they see me in the garage and they'll come ask what I'm doing, even though if it's for 2 seconds and they walk away, but, they show some kind of interest. Shout out my neighbor, Adam, for helping me paint this car. Every time I need some help with the car, he's always down to help. Shout out J-Man for hooking me up, with all the ported stuff, donating his seat to me, and yeah, everybody else that I missed, just shout out you guys. Shout out the Accord community in general, and Cam, Ralph, we're waiting for it.
Yes. We're looking for locations.
Yeah, this is a good spot, but there's a bunch of cops here, so it's not good.
Well, Miguel, thank you so much for the time, man. Definitely appreciate it. I love the car. I've seen it in so many different stages. I've seen your build from previous, the 5th unit, so I'm very, very well aware of your builds. I just never really got the chance to meet until now, so thank you. Definitely enjoy the time and can't wait to see this thing at the track, man.
Thank you, Gus. I appreciate the time, and shout out you. Shout out Automotive Anatomy.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the support, man. It's all you guys. We go for the car, we stay for the person, and thanks to you guys, you're motivating other people to do the same thing, man. So
yeah,
no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Fender flares are not wide body. And so my vision was never.
Hermano, nos cayó la ley.
My vision.
Pues tú eres peso pluma, tú eres
peso pumba. All right.
¿Qué le parece esa cosa? No te pones nervioso, güey, no pasa nada.
A ver. Shake it.
Tu novio Lalan, güey,
Ajá.
ahora te va a mirar, güey.
Se lo vas a mandar directo a él.
Al directo, güey.
Un saludo.
Un saludo aquí.
Para el peludo.
¿Y quién que sabe, verdad? Ah, soy yo.
Oh, shit. He's gonna know.
Estoy grabando, güey.
Está bien, no hay pedo. Se lo mandas.
Dale un beso al Alan, güey.
Un beso en el.